Well, that guy's not doing so hot. Damn. Didn't even pull the sword back at glaive. Halberd. How does that work? When you kill a human with a weapon in this setting, where apparently if any Nevron kills a human, the human becomes stone instead of gormaging. Or like, does their weapon get stuck and they can't pull it back out? Is it its own problem? It looks like you'll be able to go over there. I'm gonna level with you. I don't know where I am. The game saves, but I don't know where and when it saves. So I'm just like, where the oh, okay. I remember this clearing now. I'm looking around, I'm like, am I going forward or backwards? The spaces are so alien that I don't usually have, you really have to run on memory completely. Otherwise I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. Because they're not like a logical space, like in human terms. They're not like a constructed human environment. But instead kind of incomprehensible, chaotic forms. Probably a bit like the manga Blam or Blame, which I think was a story about, I think in that one, like, humanity's basically gone, and like nanomachines and like self-replicating automatic robot things have like deconstructed most of the solar system to make a massive Dyson sphere around the sun, and it's just like nonsense geometries and incomprehensible architecture. I bought it a while ago based on that premise, and I've never still gone back to read it. Ah, okay.
Teaching her children to paint, huh?
Yeah, if you open the menu, it usually says it just saved, but it's hard to tell which part it saved. I think in some cases it saves item get and leveling, but not always where you physically are standing or story triggers. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's wild. That's wild. There's a debate on whether whoa is spelled W-H-O-A or W-O-A-H. This guy did both. He has both H's. I've never seen that before. Well, hello there. You're new. Haven't seen you a lot before. How'd you get here? Me, I've been stuck here for ages. Don't know how I got here. Quite a mystery, that. Tremors. Ground starts floating. Then bam, here I was. All by my lonesome. Would have been lonely too. No one to talk to, since I'm quite an adept conversationalist. Yeah, I can talk enough for two. That, and scavenging odds and ends has kept me quite busy. I'm a merchant after all, and what's a merchant with no wares? Ah, but not many customers around here though. Very few. None in fact. And what's a merchant with no customers? Just a walking bit of storage, eh? But now you're here. You want to take a look, yes? Fight the merchant. How long has he been here? Since the original fracturing? Like 66 years?
Let's carve a path.
Woohoo! More duels, please. Yes, indeed. Yes, yes, you definitely earned the right to shop my choicest goods. Energizing Cleanse. Dispel the first negative status effect received and gain 2 AP. The first negative status effect received. So it's like a shield, but for status effects? You enter into the fight with one, I will prevent a status effect shield on you, and then it will then prevent that status effect and give you 2 AP. and then it won't happen again for the rest of the fight. That's how I interpret dispel the first status effect. Breakero? Free aim shots, spin the bestial wheel to a random value. What? Interesting. Huh. So if you have a specific goal, you can spend 1 AP to re-roll your wheel. And which might take a few attempts. In fact, if it's truly random, it could take all of your attempts. It could take all your AP, and you could still not be on the one you wanted. But you could risk the chance of being able to re-roll the wheel for 1 AP, and maybe just once, just to see if it works, and then have a more favorable roll for the ability you want to use. Free aim shots deal 100% more damage with all masks except Almighty. With 100% critical chance while in Almighty mask. That's wild. Can you randomly spin the wheel to Almighty? Verimum. If stanceless, base attack switches to offensive stance. Counter attacks apply defenseless. 50% critical chance while in offensive stance. I have trouble thinking about some of these characters' effects because they all have to hook into each other in such a specific way that's hard to like for me to like see the shape of. Because at a glance, I'm like, I don't know if these are high or low value weapons. I don't know if I should think that I should be going for these ones or not. Kind of lean towards grabbing every single one of these I can get, because you can technically equip them all, kind of, and that you can keep leveling in order to be able to equip more. Just keep leveling, keep getting more color of Lumina. You can oftentimes get more of them on. Avenge my brothers for me, yeah? I don't know what the lived experience is for people that are in here. Is time and space convoluted, or has he experienced this as a linear, like 66 years of being stuck in here? What am I to think of that? In media res. Cleansing tint. Energizing cleanse. Being immune to charm didn't really come up all that much. Blast cannon. Deal 25% more damage, but take 25% more damage. I'm amazed that it really has stayed true the whole game. That I have continued to be always behind on just how many of these things there are to swap onto to learn. And yet we do equip a crazy amount of skills per character still. So like, they get a lot of use out of the AP that the Luminas they have. Apparently I have 18 to spend. Let's see what my options are. Huh. Not in a huge hurry for those ones. I wonder if I have better options that I've forgotten. Beneficial contamination. 2 AP on applying a status effect. Once per turn. Does burning count as a status effect? I'm not sure. That's the only thing worth questioning. Let's see. Monaco's bestial wheel. Monaco's skills move the bestial wheel pointer forward. Each mask on the wheel upgrades specific skills. The Almighty mask upgrades all skills. Upgraded skills are stronger or gain additional effects. So the Almighty mask is just on the wheel normally, I guess, and not like a thing you have to earn specially. You usually have to earn those things in a special kind of way. Is status effects listed as its own thing? Oh god. Burn is a status effect. Burn, freeze, stun, mark, charm, blight, berserk, curse, exhausted, dizzy, silence, rage. I knew all those ones were status effects. I guess I didn't know if mark was a status effect, and I didn't know if burn was a status effect. God. See if I can find that again. Once per turn. Add to favorites. He's already got it equipped. Yeah, you should have it equipped. Apparently burning people counts. Everyone probably... Yeah, I'm sure everyone has the space for it. And I think everyone eventually does status effects to people. I think that's generally on the table. That's just like gonna boost the action economy. Especially, I mean, for anyone really. Pretty expensive skill, but we were able to afford it this time. Might have been wasted on him because the status effect could have helped me do more damage to this guy. God, how many shots was that? Oh, I could have judged by the numbers on the screen, but then there was a lot of numbers on the screen. All the effects got triggered by a different number of times. I'd have to know the exact one to look for. It is wild watching the million lumina pop up on your screen whenever you attack as a character like that. Just so many lumina effects are announcing that they're being used, and it's like it's only usable in the way that like the text dump of an error, like a crash report, is useful. Like technically a crash report can export text that can be used to retroactively figure out what the hell happened to your computer. But otherwise, that kind of text feed is happening so continuously and quickly that you can't really parse it or look at it in any real way. How do I leave? Is it this way? I gotta turn around and almost went back out the front again. But I think this is a new direction. I'm amused that I'm just hard pivoted where I'm like, my new fixation is giving everybody crit. Except you. You're already too critted out. Yeah, I was trying to go down the fire tree, but then I went for Stormcaller instead and pivoted to lightning. This guy is weird because he has a bunch of skill points to spend, but I rarely use skill points. Can reapply stun is pretty strong. Yeah, I think I want this for the reapply stun because then you can use it to prolong break on somebody, basically. I think I'm never going to use Paradigm Shift in order to generate some AP. It's just such weak AP generation compared to the million ways that I can generate AP, and if I don't have AP, if I don't currently have AP, then I probably am blocked from generating AP. Oh, rest so I get my beautiful flasks back. This place looks huge. Oh, wow. You aggro from a distance, don't you? No. Do not trust the seaweed. There are hidden paths. What? That appears to be a path that goes to a boss. Is that the way forward or optional? That seems like the way you're supposed to go. And the seaweed seem... yeah. This looks pretty telegraphed. Or signposted or whatever. And the kelp path feels like a secret. This also feels like a secret. Is there anything here? Oh. Oh. Oh.
Nice.
Color of Lumina. Just a fun... That is just a cheeky little secret. Whenever I see Color of Lumina, I see that as like their placeholder thing. They're like, eh, just throw a Color of Lumina in there. A little reward for finding my cheeky little thing I put in the game. Whenever I find a Color of Lumina in a weird dead end, I just kind of see that as the game itself acknowledging that the developer was being cheeky. Gold? All the plants are gold, and the bombs are gold, and everything's gold. Is this... Moana? Are we doing a Moana? Was that Moana? Actually, I haven't seen Moana for... I think I rewatched Moana recently, and I forgot that entire chapter happened because it was just such like a... felt like this like big-lipped alligator moment. It is where they got the hook, but just the rest of it just feels like it was just kind of killing time for funsies. I was genuinely wondering where its hitbox was, where it was going to aggro on me. Oh yeah, there's Almighty on top. So there's two of each, then one Almighty. We're starting on balanced, which is the one I could never use out the gate, which is unfortunate. Did it always rotate by a specific amount? Only have 5 AP. I'm tickled by the fact that if I do Abyssed Wind, it'll cost me 2 AP, but then it'll move me to Agile Mask, which I think will then make me get another turn again, which also, but this time it will cost me 0 AP. And I think I might, that was terrible RNG. And then, it only works once. Okay. So when it says play a second turn, it's a hard limit on second. Rude. His weakness is lightning. Oh no, he's specifically weak to my most broken character. I think it's his damage animation made him miss my thing a little bit. I probably should... I charged that break really quickly. I should have been ready for that, actually. Stormcaller is expensive. Yeah, she just straight up doesn't have break. Do I start with immolation? Building up the burns I need for the so I think we're currently doubling the amount of burns I apply because of her other effect. I don't think I can dodge this. I don't know if you can dodge that. It's hard to tell what its timing is. But I think I've never dodged it. Okay, there we go. Caster and can break. Which will also free Verso. I think break on this enemy always makes them spit somebody out.
A storm is coming.
It felt like a crazy, impactful, big deal boss fight once upon a time, but now we fight them all the time. I wonder if there's a term for that. when a game hypes up a particular encounter and makes you think that it's going to have a particular level of weight throughout the fight, but then you just start fighting them all the time and you're like, oh, okay. Whoa.
You're outmatched.
You made me lose my perfection rank because you swallowed me whole, woo. And so I will shoot you in the crotch 7,000 times, as is my culture. The Burgalon. What am I reading?
What have we here?
Virgin skin. I feel like I need to look up what to do with those. I feel like Unipicto, 50% chance to apply mark when attacking a marked target. Huh. Interesting. So like reapply mark basically. Hello, I'm reapplier. I don't know what I'm doing there. Stay marked, yep. Is there one of these that I can equip to switch over to stay marked? It only costs 10. Maybe warming up? I'd have to re-equip it potentially, but warming up costs 15. 7 plus 15, I think, is 122? This should be under my favorites, I think. It's one that I try to put on everybody. Admittedly, there's a question of like, well, maybe someday a fight will be long enough to justify having a slow buildup of everybody being 5% stronger per turn for 5 turns. Maybe. It happens. The really tough fights take a number of turns to get through. So 25% bonus damage I'm sure helps at that point. I don't know how that buff works in the long term. Like, does it reset if people die and get revived? But yeah, I just made a... it'll be all by the time this video comes out. But yeah, I just made a video on my third channel, Boring Threeth, where I just like do a nice long rant about the Clair Obscur difficulty curve, because it's just really weird. It's just really weird, but I've been talking about it enough in here that it might not be worth watching if you've already been watching this far, because I might have already covered most of that ground. But that was worth getting into, in particular because I kept kind of my discussions in here led to the Patreon, the people in the Patreon chat in my Discord to be talking about it, the difficulty curve of the game on a daily basis. And so I then was like, okay, let's develop this thought more, because it is a really interesting concept. It's hard to say if there's an objective truth about whether it's good or bad on various things, but it is worth noting that the game has obscured leveling as a concept and made it so weird that you can't really do a recommended level for stuff in a lot of ways. Like in most JRPGs I play, if you get into a fight and you're underleveled, you just die and you can't do anything about it because they hit you. They hit you and then you're fucked. And the only way you can get better is usually to overlevel, to you know, go back and level and come back and then come back. Sometimes there's a strategy thing you can change about like elemental weaknesses or equipping certain loadouts of skills and characters and come up with a strategy to really overcome the challenge. But I think the genre conditions most players to just go kill other things and then come back when you're stronger, and that's usually the way you do it. With this game's pictos and skill system and so on, progression of your character is so non-linear and abstracted that they can't estimate your power level based on your character's literal level, because your level has relatively little to do with how strong you are compared to all these other effects. But also, and this is the biggest struggle with the balance of this game, you have dodging and parrying. So now they've added a skill element where you can always be good enough to just not lose, which means that technically the game's never too hard. You can always beat it because they've opened up the like Dark Souls Soul Level 1 style no-hit run possibility. And in fact, I found a post on the subreddit discussing Sprong, that fight that I've been putting off because he has 1,000,000 health. People do it. It takes them like an hour, but they do it without having the difficulty, the damage cap relieved. They just go over there and just kick his ass by just playing perfectly for like an hour. And on one hand, it's kind of fun that it enables you to be an insane person and try something like that. But on the other hand, oh god, what a horrible, horrible, torturous thing for a player to do to themselves that the game kind of enables by having the skill expression be so limitless that you really can just beat anything by kicking its ass. But like the fact that there is such a skill element really, really muddies the water on what the difficulty is, or what the level of the enemy is versus you, or how you're supposed to interpret difficulty, and when you're supposed to, like, how do you tell when a thing's too tough and you should come back later versus just being a tough challenge that you rise against and feel good about. And that muddies it so much that it really makes it hard to tell what content they should and shouldn't play. I think that even with all this discussion aside, I still feel like they could have handled it better, because the main story is so easy when you do any side content that it's really like anticlimactic and disappointing. And I just wish that they had a different design ethos here, because the other side of this coin is, instead of doing the hand-holdy AAA approach of being like kind of coddling your players and being like, yeah, you could just play the main story nonstop and you'll be fine. I think it's cooler when the main story is too hard and you have to come back later when you get stronger. I like it when RPGs say, no man, go get stronger before you continue the story. Sometimes explicitly. Like, when you play Morrowind, which, you know, it's a Bethesda RPG, it has its own balancing problems where you'll inevitably overcome its entirely difficulty curve because it's a non-linear open world thing. But at the beginning of the game, almost immediately, like, people always talk about how the game has you asking for directions and actually following them to find the street address and so on, which is also cool. Like, having to navigate the world in a very real way is kind of better than following an arrow around like in the later Bethesda games. But like, there's a part where the story just straight up, like really early on even, encourages you to be like, yeah, hey, you should, you know, do some odd jobs around town before you take this one on. And it does that early on, teaching you to like do side content to get stronger before you proceed with the main story. And I think that approach is better, because as much as people say it's all optional content, it's really weird to throw your player into an open world with 1,000,000 side things to do and like exploration to do, and then constantly reward them for exploring, which further incentivizes them to explore. Like, whenever you go out into the world, you start finding the equivalent of like Zelda heart pieces everywhere. You're being incentivized to explore, but it feels like you're being punished for exploring if the game then becomes not fun because it's so trivial. So I think it's just, and like, it makes no sense to unleash people into an open world and then expect them not to engage with it. Like, what? Isn't that, why would give them an open world if they're not supposed to use it? So I think the game would just be better as a whole if it expected you to just step up and get stronger in order to beat the story, and just make beating the story more of an ordeal, instead of taking the least common denominator approach that a lot of AAA gaming studios do. Which I know this game's not AAA, I think it's like AA or something, but like they're ex-AAA developers, they're like Ubisoft developers, and it's like, that design ethos, don't agree with that, and it affects it's a permanent change of the game. I understand though that it's mutually exclusive, these two play styles, and you have to pick which one to choose to appeal to. Unless it's a difficulty setting, which that's its own discussion, right? Like, what if these were separate difficulty settings? people always talk about easy, medium, hard, and so on. What if the difficulty setting was actually like, instead of being easy, medium, hard, it's like, hey, I like to blitz the main story versus I like to explore and I like to be a completionist. If the game asked you what your playstyle was, it could actually have a difficulty curve based around your playstyle. And that could be separate from easy, medium, hard. You could be easy, medium, hard, and completionist versus mainliner. That would actually, I would actually love to see a game do that, because I would like to be able to just honestly tell the game, like, yeah, I kind of run around and explore and do everything because that's what I bought the game to do, and I don't want to feel like the game was ruined by me doing that. Anyway, that went from me being like, you should go watch my video about it, to me just saying it all out loud again, but in a very different way, where I also then developed to a new idea that's not in that video, because that thing I just said was not even in that discussion. I just came up with that just now, I guess. There we go, now he's burning. We're just like, make everybody burn.
Ready to strike.
Elements converge.
Time to lead.
God, that's some damage. What? I play immediately? I don't even remember what triggered that. Why'd that happen? Huh. I don't even remember what caused him to have another turn that time. Weird. Oh, the gold is still here too. The gold and black in this game reminds me a lot of the weird monster designs from Death Stranding. Man, I want to play Death Stranding too. I just want to know what it is. I want to get to that. There's too many fucking video games, man. I spend all of every year just trying to catch up with the last year's games, and I'm like, but there's new ones out now, and like, it's so hard to juggle all that incentive-wise. It's hard to juggle that even just purely, like, even if I didn't care about views or audience or what anyone wanted, it's hard to even do it for myself. Like, there's just so many competing options that it's just, every single one is an opportunity cost. And every time I pick something, I might not be able to ever get around to the other thing that I want to do later. Let alone the opportunity cost of, like, hey, what about your creative goals? What about your relationship goals? What about all of your, like, real life things? Like, maybe you should not only play video games. Got a little real all of a sudden. Which is why I don't play that many video games outside of my job. Because I'm like, that's plenty.
Oh, lovely.
In a weird sort of way, Let's Playing mediates the, like, exact bandwidth of how much video game I play per week. And then I move on. And that's just the rate at which I experience video games. Because I've got a million other things to think about doing with my time otherwise. Hello, the Sacco Potatoes. It makes some sense to fight a lot of these guys just because a lot of them give you skills for Minoko. I don't know what skills I should use as Minoko. That's terrifying. Oh, I missed. No, I really missed. Oh. I'm weakening his shoulder. Stop dancing. He likes to dance. Stop it.
Take cover.
Uh-oh, I forgot. Ah, damn it. I tried to dodge too, knowing that countering is literally pointless. I blew his entire arm off. Haha. More like suck of potatoes. Of course, I might be sitting here gathering a bunch of skills for Monoko, but then I do have to actually commit to reading what they all do and try to figure out which ones to prioritize, which... Jesus Christ, man, that's a lot of skills. That's a lot of skills! Ah! I feel like I recognize this exact pond, funnily enough. Wasn't this specifically in the optional area that I came to later in this zone? Oh, there's a chest up there. Is the one of those that's posed like that each time guarding the way forward? Is that the implication? Oh wow, we ducked really early. The roof was nowhere near us. Potentially somewhat infuriating. A chest you can only open if you unlock this specific mechanic optionally. Which I have. Now die. I forgot about these guys. Like they kind of were like the last hurrah of glowing weak spots. There haven't been that many glowing weak spots for the rest of the game. When once upon a time that felt like such a standard part of the game. Perfect. And ow. The trebuchet. And more resplendent. Where's the last one? Oh. Skadoosh. Random defense. Damage taken is randomly multiplied by a value between 50% and 200%. That's worse, right? Isn't that just worse? Where is it? There it is. Damage taken is randomly multiplied by a value between 50% and 200%. We don't know if it's like a weighted result in some way, but at first glance, I believe it's not my existing math because it's done differently. It's a random value between these. But yeah, the idea that your damage might be halved or might be doubled. If it's an equal RNG based on the numbers available, there are more numbers above 100% than below 100%. So that makes me think that this ability increases the damage you take most of the time, which sucks. So I probably don't want it. I'll learn it out of spite and then probably never equip it, which does mean that it's currently equipped, and she will die faster, probably. Definitely would prefer just things that reduce the damage you take over things that might reduce the damage you take sometimes, but also make things worse other times. Ah, when it ends with a jump, it kind of defeats the purpose of you parrying the previous attacks. No. No. God, no. Wow, he's alive. Rude.
Let's carve a path.
Hello.
Not impressed.
Oh, shit. I think you have to press the B like right around the time that sound is ending, basically. That was weird. I couldn't do anything. That was high damage. Damn. Move your shield. I should move your shield. Oh, this is a hard shot. It might not be doable. I can see the weak spot, but I don't know if I can actually exploit it. We must kill the ultimate sack of potatoes. Oh, it's raising its shield. Is it gonna attack? Okay, it's gonna have a turn next. I was like, is it really gonna spend its only turn almost attacking? It's resistant to lightning, so it's gonna get the attack off. Oh, that's not a jump. I thought shield slam was gonna be a shockwave to jump over. Ow. Ah, he's dead. I died of dead.
My turn.
That's an S rank, buddy. Phantom stars cost 5. Oh, and I've got a mark now. Oh god. Granted, I can't do more than 9999. Stormcaller, I never use these. I don't have the fire stains to use, but let's just cast it. Oh, that it doesn't happen till its turn, basically. I will politely skip my turn. Didn't really get to see any lightning happening exactly. Just kind of died. More resplendent chroma. Stay marked has been learned.
Nice.
Yeah, it does seem like the swordsman who is split in half is the indicator of where you're going next. Oh, they all aggroed, but I thought they weren't going to come at me at first. They were suspiciously motionless. I thought they were going to stand still so that you could only get through by fighting them, but I think you can just actually dodge them pretty easily and then not have to fight them at all. Haha, broke your arm.
Let's carve a path.
Ah, damn it. But yeah, regarding the previous topic, I find it interesting because like people will often respond to me like, all you ever do is complain, and I'm like, yeah. Reducing it to complaining is reductive when I'm just discussing game design at length in a show about playing games.
A bit of violence, yes.
Because this game's really interesting because it proposes an extremely interesting problem that has... It falls into some pitfalls that have been solved by other games, but there's other parts of it that are uniquely things that it has brought to the table with its changes that are problems that nobody's necessarily had to solve before. And they also probably didn't themselves, is how I see it. But it's interesting seeing that the particular grouping of systems that they've put in this game have created unique problems for themselves. Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to take these flags as literal. Did these expeditions make it here? I don't know if I have memorized the lore correctly about how this barrier has worked and how long it's been around or hasn't. I don't know. Uh-oh. Yeah, we're evoking Gustav's death with the light up lamps.
Nice.
They're just showering me with this splendid chroma. Look at that. A tidal wave of basalt columns. Oh. Almost didn't see that there. Ow, ow, ow. Ay, 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 ay. Certainly feels like a rejection.
Who is she fighting? Her husband?
Oh, these floating little guys. I'm pretty sure if you break their bubbles, which is always tempting, these ones always apply armor. So you actually want to spend all of your turns attacking like this. Did Verso only get one attack? If the enemy dodges, does he not get a second set of moves? That's interesting. Aha! I'm gonna chase something over here. And maybe it's over here? You betcha. The windmill. Maybe calling back to the farming level? No. No, go up the hill, you dick. There we go.
Sweet taste of battle.
Almighty. That wasn't very damaging. That was. Specifically weak to range shots, apparently. Let's see. 5 more color of Lumina. It's a lot. Good. They're gonna go first, I think. No? Okum dokum.
You're outmatched.
What? That was just a hard cut in the music all of a sudden. Energizing pain leveled up. It's good to know that those things do level up, but the usefulness is somewhat reduced. By the end of the game, the primary incentive is, like, admittedly, if they level up and they become your strongest one, then you might equip them for their stats. But, overall, you're gonna want to be equipping either the highest stats of a particular category as your personal equipment ones, or potentially more likely, you're gonna want to equip the ones that have the highest cost skills, so you don't have to pay the cost for them. At that point, you're just hoping that those coincidentally happen to be the ones that leveled up. As an added bonus, I guess, because otherwise you're just picking things for their which skills they have or for their stats, likely mutually exclusively.
Useful.
A little secret path onto a lighthouse. There's a weird hole.
Well, that will help.
Yeah, there's so many bodies. And I'm just like, what's the logic? Oh, I guess I stay into this. That was pretty quick. If that's the denotation of individual zones. Ooh, what was that blue shit? Oh, am I going beneath the surface of the water or something? I feel like that's not supposed to be there. No, another optional encounter in a suspiciously gold room. This one's a mime with backup. Has the mime member had backup before? That's interesting. It shouldn't be a big deal because the mimes aren't very strong and also don't have a time limit, I don't think. I should just focus the other guys down first, I think. I'm starting an almighty again, damn. These guys are hardy. Gonna take a few turns.
Chroma is flowing.
Does elemental trick still work? It's not very expensive. I don't know if you gain stains when they're being blocked by shields.
Elements.
I guess they're not. I guess they can't crit. Well, I got 3. Unfortunately, not fire, the one I actually wanted.
A bit of violence, yes.
I did like no damage, but that's what I expect.
Let's carve a path.
Wow, that actually generated break. Keep being surprised by how quickly it fills up. I should have been ready to do it. Only costs 5. I just tried to spend 2 to go from 7 to 5, and I went up to 9 instead. The way he generates AP is nonsense.
Let us stain them.
Consumes ice for bonus damage. Mime is no longer stunned. Okay, that's the problem with Versa's new skill, is that he often won't get the skill move again in time to extend the stun. Somebody else has to do the stun, which is going to be a challenge.
Ready to strike.
The number of damage capped attacks is so out of hand. It has been for a while. Alright. Another optional encounter down. I dig my well deeper. My hole. Or whatever. Yeah, what's up with that? That feels like a mistake. I think that's a mistake. I think that's the water level of the overall world showing up through the walls, and they forgot to hide it when you're doing this, so you see it as you go down, because water level is that artificial. There just is like just a wibbly wobbly texture that just kind of clips through the entire map. That's how water seems to work in like every game. So if you don't hide it and manually during certain moments like this, you'll just see it sticking through everything, even though it logically wouldn't be there, because you're not simulating water in any real way. You're just placing a flat plane through the entire map that's supposed to placeholder water, and then you have to manually make sure it doesn't show up in certain locations that happen to go underground. Anyway, let's take a break.